Israel is carrying out further bombing attacks across the Gaza Strip. Overnight, shelling in the north hit one of Gaza's biggest hospitals, killing at least 12 people. Staff there at the Indonesian hospital are appealing for urgent intervention from the UN and from the Red Cross. There are around 700 patients inside and thousands of people in the compound, including medics. That's according to Gaza's health ministry. The main operating room inside the hospital has been damaged. Medical teams say the facility was targeted without prior warning. And Israel continued to bombard other parts of the Strip overnight. In southern Gaza, an airstrike on a residential building in Rafah killed at least 14 people, and a further 6 Palestinians were killed in a strike on Nuseirat refugee camp in central Gaza. In the north, Israeli airstrikes targeted an area in the Jabalia refugee camp where displaced Palestinians were seeking shelter. Tareq Azzoum is in Khan Younis, the southern part of the Gaza Strip. Tareq, at this hour, we're trying to get a clearer picture of what's happening in and around the Indonesian hospital. We started to describe it. What are you finding out this morning?
Right, the Israeli attacks across the Gaza Strip continued since the early beginning of this day, where the Israeli forces had bounded 2 residential houses in Rafah district in the far south of the Gaza Strip, claiming the lives of around 14 Palestinians who have lost their lives due to the Israeli airstrikes. What is important to mention that the southern areas of Gaza Strip have been the main concentration for the Israeli forces as they are trying to expand the military operations even towards the southern areas of their territory. Also, the middle governorates of the Gaza Strip, including Nuseirat and Al-Bureij refugee camp, also had witnessed multiple airstrikes during the last couple of days, and in particular Nuseirat refugee camp during the last hour, where the Israeli forces had destroyed 2 separate houses, leading to the killing of a number of Palestinians, while others also had been recorded injured. The attacks also continued in these areas as the Israeli military forces are trying to drop leaflets on separate areas in the eastern areas of Khan Younis, informing residents to flee to more safe areas inside the center of Khan Younis city. So literally what is going on the ground in the southern areas of Gaza Strip is similar to what happened previously in the north of the territory, as Israel is intensifying the rates and the domains of its military attacks across the Gaza Strip.
Tareq, all of that is what's happening in the central and southern parts of Gaza, and it raises very important questions when, as you say, Israel dropping leaflets telling people in the south to leave. Where could they possibly go, given that Israel has also told them to leave the north? That's one, but I want to try and find out, if we can, what is happening inside the Indonesian hospital, because Israeli tanks, according to the latest reporting, are now around the hospital with several hundred patients in it. I understand people haven't been able to leave. What do you know about the Indonesian hospital?
Yes, it clearly seems that the Israeli occupation forces' eyes are heading towards now the Indonesian hospital. Right now, the Israeli artillery tanks are stationed just a few meters away from the Indonesian hospital, where they are encircling this important medical complex in the north of the Gaza Strip. This medical complex hosts the thousands of Palestinians inside it, including around 700 patients and wounded people inside this medical complex. Now, the majority of people have fled from the houses and they are taking shelter inside this medical complex. And meanwhile, the Israeli forces are trapping this hospital. But before that, since the early beginning of this war, they had destroyed and even attacked the vicinity of this hospital in order to force people to flee to the south of the territory. Right now, the Israeli forces had attacked the hospital and several parts of it, claiming the lives of 12 Palestinians till this very moment, amid growing concerns of the possibility of having any further storming, similarly to what happened to Ashifa medical complex. Now, the hospitals in Gaza Strip, I'm talking about the north and central areas of Gaza City, have been subjected to diversity of Israeli military attacks by the Israeli artillery and even the Israeli air forces. Now, the Indonesian hospital has become the new target of the Israeli occupation forces, as they are trying to make a proper control over this hospital, and even they are now deploying the forces around this medical complex, which impose a new significant threat on the lives of people who are still taking shelter inside this medical hospital.
Tareq, we can see behind you that it's wet. It's been raining heavily in Gaza for a while now, and this obviously is compounding what were already extraordinarily difficult circumstances for people. This is a densely packed territory, even more so now that more than half the population has been displaced. People are living in overcrowded camps. What's the impact that the rain has been having on Gazans?
Yes, absolutely. The winter rain had brought catastrophic consequences and added new suffering for Palestinians who already had suffered the through 6 weeks of fighting between Palestinian fighters and the Israeli occupation forces. Now, with the ongoing amount of rain that have been falling on the Gaza Strip and what is also expected within the coming few weeks, the situation is catastrophic, especially for more than 2.3 million Palestinians, and in particular for 600,000 Palestinians who are now taking shelter in United Nations-run schools and even in the public buildings and the yards of the hospitals. People inside Gaza Strip are living in tented camps which already lack the basic conditions and even the basic items in order to protect those displaced people from the cold and even from the rain that resulted. The roads are muddy, where people also are facing growing number of diseases, including diarrhea and even bacterial infections due to the disruption that took place to seaweed and even water shortages that took place inside the Gaza Strip. So literally Palestinians previously and normal days were waiting winter to rejoice and to celebrate, but meanwhile they become hating winter due to the level of suffering and the new catastrophic result that these kinds of rains had brought to the already besieged enclave across the territory.
Tareq Abu Azzoum reporting from inside the Gaza Strip, 9 a.m. local time in Gaza. Thank you very much, Tareq.